What if the standard blueprint for getting things done is actually sabotaging your success? You've meticulously filled out the planners, experimented with time blocking, forced yourself out of bed at dawn, color-coded every single obligation, loaded your phone with productivity software, and consumed endless online listicles promising life-changing efficiency shortcuts. Yet, the pressure remains. You constantly feel buried under your workload, spinning your wheels in a cycle of endless activity without actually moving the needle on your most critical goals.
Let's expose the frustrating reality that mainstream culture avoids discussing. This isn't meant to discourage you. In fact, realizing this was the most liberating turning point of my professional life. The moment you stop obsessing over tracking hours and begin auditing your cognitive state, your entire workflow shifts.
Today, we are dissecting a massive masterpiece from the past decade that deserves way more attention. Mind Management, Not Time Management by David Kadavi. This specific text completely flips the script on what it means to operate at peak creative performance and make a real impact. By the time this video wraps up, I guarantee your daily task list will look completely different. Let's dive right in.
You aren't facing a shortage of hours. You are facing a mismanagement of mental energy. Before we break down the mechanics, here is exactly what we will unpack over the next half hour. First, we'll explore the fundamental flaws of traditional scheduling for innovators. Kadavi builds an incredibly logical, scientifically grounded argument that will make you wonder why this wasn't obvious before. Second, we'll dissect his concept of the creative curve, illustrating why forcing original thought into a rigid calendar slot is completely unrealistic. Third, I will guide you through the core engine of the book, the 4 energies. This practical framework is the single most actionable tool I've encountered for mapping out a day. Fourth, we'll look at real-world applications across various fields, how authors, founders, and artists use this system. Fifth, you'll get a clear, actionable blueprint to deploy tomorrow morning.
This will challenge you, and frankly, it might feel a bit uncomfortable because it goes directly against standard hustle culture myths. David Kadavi, a seasoned designer, author, and interviewer, spent years analyzing neurological data to figure out how humans produce brilliant work. This book consolidates that data, offering shortcuts I deeply wish I had known a decade ago.
Let's establish the core premise with a question Kadavi introduces early on. Why do your most brilliant breakthroughs hit you while you're washing your hair? Think about it critically. You aren't staring at a screen. You aren't in a structured workspace. You haven't downed an extra espresso. You're just standing under running water. Suddenly, the exact answer to a problem you've been fighting for days crystallizes perfectly. Why? It all traces back to the creative curve. To understand it, we have to look at brain mechanics.
Neurological data proves that your brain doesn't maintain a flat line of peak performance across a 12-hour day. It operates in cyclical waves. Your capacity for deep focus, creative problem-solving, analytical processing, and mundane administrative tasks peaks and drops
unpredictably. It mirrors ocean currents. You have high tides and low tides. Trying to force high-level creative output during a cognitive low tide is like attempting to surf in a calm puddle.
Look at a historical case study from the text. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Popular culture portrays him as a frantic composing machine, churning out masterpieces effortlessly all day long. However, his private correspondence reveals a completely different reality. Mozart operated in highly concentrated, brief intervals. He would rise early, execute a few hours of intense composition during his peak cognitive window, and spend the remaining hours playing games, socializing, and relaxing. Was he undisciplined? Not at all. He was intuitively maximizing his creative curve, recognizing without modern data that genius requires a specific mental state, which he protected at all costs.
The takeaway is clear. The volume of hours logged is irrelevant. The alignment of your cognitive state is everything. You can chain yourself to a desk for half a day and produce mediocre work. Or you can spend 3 hours in absolute alignment and build something spectacular. Time is indifferent to your goals. Your brain is not. This leads to a fascinating realization regarding the unseen mechanics of creativity. Original thought isn't restricted to the moments you are actively staring at a blank document. A massive percentage of problem solving occurs beneath your conscious awareness during what Kadavi labels the incubation phase. This explains the shower breakthrough. When you consciously abandon the issue, your subconscious mind continues processing it. Walking, driving, or daydreaming aren't gaps in productivity. They are active components of the creative engine where your brain builds non-linear connections. Therefore, intentional rest isn't an obstacle to achievement. It's a strict requirement. Filling every gap with emails or notifications starves your mind of the processing space required for excellence. This isn't an excuse to slack off. It's a mandate to be highly strategic.
Let's focus deeply on the practical core of the book, the 4 energies. Your cognitive capacity isn't a simple binary light switch. It operates across 4 distinct profiles, each uniquely optimized for specific types of cognitive tasks. By mapping your workload to your current profile, rather than blindly attacking an urgent checklist, your efficiency multiplies. This is your rarest, most volatile mental state. In this mode, your processing power is unmatched, allowing you to synthesize complex variables and spark original concepts. This is when definitive first drafts, major strategies, and breakthrough ideas happen. This window is brief, usually spanning 1 to 4 hours daily, typically right after a full sleep cycle. Wasting this precious state on administrative tasks like answering Slack messages or sitting through low-value meetings is a massive mistake. Guard these hours fiercely. Your creative survival depends on it.
Prioritize. As the initial creative spark stabilizes, you transition into prioritize energy. You remain sharp and analytical, but the raw, innovative drive softens. This is the optimal state for tactical assessment, reviewing timelines, adjusting resource allocation, editing existing assets, and conducting strategic
team alignments. While generate is about raw creation, prioritize is about refinement and structural decision-making. 3. Explore. This profile is built around discovery and collecting raw material. When you are in explore mode, you shouldn't focus on creating output. Instead, focus on gathering high-quality inputs. This involves researching competitors, reading documentation, analyzing case studies, or experimenting with new tools. Think of it as refueling your creative engine. 4. Recharge. The phase that triggers the most self-inflicted guilt is often the most critical. Recharge energy. This low-demand, restorative state includes activities like aimless walks, power naps, or simple cooking. Kadavi emphasizes that true recovery is a biological prerequisite for high performance. Pushing through exhaustion or sacrificing weekends simply compromises your next generate window. You are borrowing energy from tomorrow at an unsustainable interest rate. The most impactful historical icons didn't just outwork everyone, they mastered the art of recovery. Let's look at how these dynamics apply to 3 distinct real-world professions. Whether you're a designer, developer, or copywriter, autonomy over your schedule is a double-edged sword. Without a strict framework, it's incredibly easy to scroll social media at 9 a.m. or clear out client emails before doing any real creative work. Kadavi's solution is simple. Move all high-level creation to your earliest block. Do not look at your inbox until your generate phase is complete. A perfect daily structure looks like this. Focus purely on execution, coding, writing, designing, without external noise. Prioritize. Audit your output. Organize your week. And address urgent client requests. Read, research, and gather inspiration. Step away completely for lunch and a walk. Handle routine tasks like invoicing and basic emails when your creative energy has left for the day. If you operate within a traditional corporate framework, you might feel like you can't just ignore your boss until midday. However, you have more agency than you realize. Most modern organizations encourage structured focus blocks. More importantly, you own the hours before your official shift begins. That quiet morning window before the world starts demanding your attention is pure generate energy. Dedicating even an uninterrupted hour to your personal growth or side project will yield compounding returns over time through the power of marginal gains. For founders, standard hustle culture, which frames sleep deprivation as a badge of honor, is an absolute trap. An entrepreneur's primary asset isn't a long task list. It's the quality of their strategic vision. Operating on chronic exhaustion yields highly energetic mediocrity. Sustainable founders focus heavily on maximizing their peak cognitive windows rather than checking off arbitrary tasks. Consider Charles Darwin, who formulated the theory of evolution while working only about 4 hours a day. His daily routine was highly structured around his natural energy levels. He began with a brief morning walk. Pure generate. Focus on his core scientific theories. He then took a break for breakfast and letters. a second wave of focused work. The rest of his day was spent on long walks, naps, light reading, and family dinners. While peers viewed his schedule as incredibly relaxed, his focused 4-hour blocks generated paradigm-shifting concepts that completely transformed human history. Stop tracking total hours worked and start tracking meaningful breakthroughs. Khadavi dedicates a massive portion of the book to debunking the myth of raw willpower. Society claims that high achievers simply possess an internal steel that allows them to push through distraction effortlessly. This is fundamentally inaccurate. Psychological research shows that willpower is a depletable asset. Every microscopic micro-decision drains your reserve. This is exactly why leaders like Steve Jobs or Barack Obama automated basic choices like their daily wardrobe. They preserved their decision-making capital for things that actually mattered. The real secret isn't building a massive reserve of willpower. It's engineering a workspace that removes the need for it entirely. If you have to fight your environment to focus, your setup is broken. Your goal should be to make deep work the path of least resistance. If you instantly check notifications when you wake up, it's not a personal failure. It's a systemic design flaw caused by leaving your phone on your nightstand. Change the environment. Charge your phone in a separate room and place a notebook beside your bed. Automate positive habits and add friction to distractions. That is mind management in action. Let's translate these concepts into a highly practical daily protocol you can execute immediately. Spend the next week tracking your focus levels on a 1 to 10 scale every 2 hours. Identify your natural biological peaks and troughs without relying on generic advice. Build a fluid, weekly template divided into energy zones based on your personal data. Prepare your workspace the evening prior. Shut down irrelevant tabs. Activate Do Not Disturb, and ensure your primary tool is ready to go. Decline early meetings and delay administrative responses during your creative peak. Your sustained quality of work is what makes you irreplaceable. Treat rest blocks with the exact same weight as a critical client presentation. Make it non-negotiable. Spend 15 minutes every Sunday evaluating what worked, what went off the rails, and how your schedule aligned with your actual energy. Consider a practical example. Sarah, a corporate marketing manager with a busy family. After auditing her energy, she realized her peak output occurred between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., followed by a strategic window until 11 a.m., a major post-lunch crash, a mild afternoon recovery, and total depletion by evening. By reorganizing her day to align with these natural shifts, waking up slightly earlier for her personal projects, protecting her morning office hours for core strategy, taking screen-free lunch breaks, and fully disconnecting after 6 p.m., she unlocked massive progress on her side business and elevated her corporate performance, all while dropping her stress levels significantly. To summarize, here are the 7 core pillars of mind management not time management. Your brain is a biological engine with natural energy cycles, not a flat-line machine. The creative curve requires incubation and intentional cognitive space. The Four Energies framework is your definitive guide for mapping out daily tasks. Guard your generate phase ruthlessly against routine administrative work. Prioritize environmental design over raw willpower. Intentional recovery is a non-negotiable fuel source for creativity. A single hour of aligned, high-energy focus completely outperforms a full day of distracted grinding.
While this summary provides an immediate blueprint, reading Kadavi's full text is incredibly rewarding because his storytelling makes these concepts stick. We live in a culture that treats exhaustion as a status symbol and recovery as a flaw. Kadavi invites us to reject that narrative, not because hard work doesn't matter, but because your absolute best contributions require a healthy, supported mind. Starting tomorrow, pinpoint your peak windows, protect them fiercely, and rest without an ounce of guilt. If this breakdown brought value to your workflow, hit the like button to help this video reach other creators. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for our weekly deep dives into books that shift your perspective. Drop a comment below. Which of the 4 energy profiles do you struggle to manage the most? For me, it's definitely recharge. I still fight the guilt of stepping away. Let's discuss it in the comments. Thank you for your time today. Look after your mind, and I'll see you in the next video.